Welcome back to B-Side Banter. This is episode number 12. I'm here with Tyson, and you've got a channel on TikTok that you do a lot of music commentary on. I don't know if I'm sure you're elsewhere as well, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. I know you from TikTok, but maybe just give us a little bit about yourself, what you do, maybe some of your music preferences, anything you want to say.
So I'm Tyson, otherwise known as the official Tyson Jones, otherwise known to a lot of people who know me as the guy who has no ears. And I do a lot of music commentary, a lot of music news. I'm just a music nerd in general, specifically with hip hop and kind of the modern scene of what's going on. So I keep track with a lot of the artists like Tyler the Creator, Future, Playboi Carti, and just reporting on all that, what's going on, and also giving my own personal opinions as well. And then on top of that, I also do some on-air hosting with Sirius, and I do the news for them Monday through Sunday with my segment, the Mic Check Minute. And then I also, on top of that with them, do a lot of festival coverage. So I've done Rolling Loud, I've done Summer Smash, and I've also done Camp Flogno. So I think in total I've done about 5 festivals now, going on 6, hopefully this summer, and then beyond. And then some of my music preferences, what I like, mainly hip hop. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty much what I listen to. I'm not gonna be one of those people like, yeah, I listen to everything now. I
Yeah.
really listen to a lot of hip hop. A lot of the people that I stick to and gravitate towards too with my age is probably people I grew up around, like 2016. So like Playboi Carti,
Mm.
Lil Uzi. Kanye used to, but he's being a jerk right now, so I'm good on that right now.
Yeah.
Drake, Kendrick Lamar, I'm one of those people who actually likes both and
Yeah.
will continue to listen to both.
Hmm.
Tyler the Creator, definitely for sure. Trying to think, Frank Ocean, who else? Definitely a lot of those guys I
Yeah.
just grew
Yeah.
up with. You know, I'm an old head now to a
Mhm.
lot of these kids, so a lot of those people I listen to. But I also like some of the newer stuff too. I'll definitely listen to like Ken Carson,
Mhm.
definitely some of the Opium stuff. I
Yeah.
love West Side Gun too. I was just listening to his new uh, project he dropped this morning. I'm really all over the map. I just love pretty much everything except country music.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard enough keeping up with one genre that you really, really like. So to like get into 3 or 4 or 5 genres or to say I listen to everything, like that's tough. That's a lot of music. You're not able to
And there's
really.
so much music that just comes out on like a
Mm.
weekly
Mhm.
like basis. And one of the things that, and I guess we can just get right into it, at least for me, real quick, is just album length in general. Like someone like me who consumes a lot of music all week and also just has a full time job as well. It
Mm.
gets so annoying that every artist wants to release like a hour plus long project. A lot of people don't understand like that's a lot of time to like sit
Yeah.
there and think and like for me, like I think and give my opinion. So it's not like I can just listen to in the background. Like I gotta like
Yeah.
actively listen and understand before I say something about
Totally.
it.
Yeah.
So there's just like so much on a weekly basis. And it's like an hour album, like getting somebody to sit there, that's like
Mm.
a movie, you know. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's a long time to sit there. So it's just like tough. And definitely I'm one of those people, it's like if I don't like this album like 2, 3 songs in from someone I don't really know like that, like I'm not gonna invest because it's just like I could be
Yeah.
listening. Why am I gonna spend an hour to listen to stuff I don't like when I can listen to the stuff I don't like? Maybe I'm just getting old.
No, I think that's a pretty normal thing. Like, especially, I do think a lot of people are listening to albums, like full albums, more than they used to. But I think that's a pretty normal thing. That like you start listening to a few songs, you're like, this is my thing. Like, I'm not gonna waste my time unless you're specifically bound to having to talk about that. You know what I mean? Like as a creator,
Yeah.
then that's different. But from as a
Especially with
casual
the no
listener,
features too. I'm like, oh, like I like you, whoever I'm listening to, but like 20 songs and no features, like I need give
yeah,
me something. The only person right now who I could listen to a 30-song album is Cardi. He's the only one who's acceptable. Even with that, it was like
it's
30
long.
songs is still too long. I'm happy about it, but
Yeah,
like at
yeah,
the same time, I'm like, 90 minutes of Sia. I love it, but at the same
yeah.
time, it's a lot.
Yeah, luckily with Cardi, like his song length for the most part was just a couple minutes. So like, can you imagine if those were 30 like 3 to 5 minute songs? Like that would just be that would be so long.
But I'd much rather have like a shorter album with a lot more songs with like
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind like a 3 to 5 minute song with like he did with Ken Carson and Destroy Lonely or some
Mhm.
other of his contemporaries. That's why I honestly like the ones with Kendrick because it was something different. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people have a lot of mixed opinions on that, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked it. I enjoy it. And sometimes also the other thing with these albums and some of these artists, like sometimes I just like fun. I just like two artists that I enjoy on a song together, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I thought that was it was definitely unique, and there's lots of, like you said, lots of opinions on Kendrick and why he's linking up with Cardi and stuff, and whether or not it was a good choice for him in terms of what he's been trying to represent. But it's fun. It's just fun. It's just plain fun. So it's like it's hard. You have to like hold. It's almost like a paradox. You hold these two things together where you're like,
Yeah,
this is kind of weird, but at the same time, like this is kind of a dream come true. Like two of these great artists that I would have always loved to see together are actually together. So I don't know. It's like if Kendrick and Drake like did a song, you'd be like, this is so weird. They just were fighting like intensely, and now it's like, oh, like I don't care a little bit because like this is kind of cool.
exactly.
Yeah. Um, so let's get into some of like this commentary that you do. What are some of your favorite or some of the best storylines to be following right now? Um, yeah.
Right now, I'm thinking because we're coming off a lot. This has been such a monster year for music and hip hop
Hmm.
in general, and it kind of
Yeah.
makes me laugh a little bit because one of the storylines that I hated for so long is how everyone was like, "Oh, hip hop is dying, hip hop is dead,"
Yeah.
all the way back in 2023. But look forward about 2 years later, it's stronger than ever. I mean, Kendrick Lamar with his dominance on the charts and just
Mm.
GNX and about to go on tour. You got Playboi Carti with his dominance with everything he's doing with music about to go on tour as well.
Yeah.
You got smaller artists really doing their thing. Like I was listening to JID's new song this morning. I'm super excited for that album. Everything going on with Dreamville with him, and also waiting on J. Cole for his next album.
Mhm.
I think really just all the big dogs are just finally back. I feel like it took a while after like 2020, 2021 for a
Yeah.
lot of these artists to kind of like get back. And I feel like we're finally back in a place of normalcy. Travis Scott, too, doing Coachella and all the stuff he's doing with WWE
Yeah. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I think it's huge. Also, that was just announced all the hip hop legends who are about to drop albums between now and the end of the year. It just seems like we're really getting back to music dropping, and a lot of it was before everyone kind of want to be mysterious and kind of want to be
Mm.
away from music. Now we're really back to everyone wants to be out there, and they realize, huh, if I actually drop music, I can actually make a lot of money, and the fans are really going
Yeah.
to like that. I mean, you see that with Playboi Carti. He went
Yeah.
from not being active to dropping a song with Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely. That's another storyline with Opium, seeing them going forward now that he finally is acknowledging them and he hopped on a song with them.
Mm.
And it's
Mm.
just like I feel like it's growing, and I'm curious to see kind of where we go from here. And that's a big question mark. Like Travis Scott specifically with him with his next album and the Coachella performance has been kind of lukewarm response with that, and
Mm.
also the songs he's been dropping. So I feel like it's once some of these artists reach superstardom, what's the next step after that?
Yeah. 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 I did notice that, like, yeah, the reception of his, Coachella set and stuff, like, I don't know, it just it felt a little lukewarm, like you said, like it, which was strange to me because he kind of rode his utopia like stuff for a long time, and like there was a lot of hype around his live performances after that. So I thought it was kind of interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know, like what's your take on why there's so much lukewarmness there?
I think some of it is Coachella just being Coachella, not the festival itself, but
Yeah.
like really the audience. Hip hop is a thing that they've always kind of just not been the warmest about
Mm.
in general. And I think especially after when Frank performed in 2023, and that didn't
Mhm.
he's not
Yeah.
necessarily like hip, he's in the realm
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
And that was really didn't go as planned. They've
yeah.
really been critical on a lot of the hip hop artists that have performed at Coachella. Even with Kanye too, with this whole, because he was supposed to do that as well. Like
Mhm.
there just hasn't been the best mix. And also with that, with the audience, like Travis is really made for like a younger audience. And just let you know, I've seen Travis like 6 times within the past year. He's headlined pretty much
Oh.
every festival. I could probably tell you his whole set list. I've heard Fiend and him yell, "I'm fiending for more" about 50 times now. And it's just like Coachella's just not the audience. It's a younger
Yeah.
audience and more of a hip hop audience. He needs a crowd that's going to move, not a crowd that's just going to be there on their
Mm,
phones looking for the next moment. I know a lot of people are
yeah.
hating on the band as well, but I like the university band stuff. I mean, that's just culture. That's just black culture. That's what he wants to do. And
Mm,
Coachella is not necessarily the audience for
yeah,
all that stuff. I do
yeah.
think Travis right now is a lot. He's doing a lot right now between Coachella, Jack Boys 2, his own solo album, his
Mm,
stuff he's doing with the WWE,
yeah,
all this stuff.
yeah.
So I worry a little bit that he's spreading himself a little bit too thin,
Mm,
but
mm,
we're
yeah,
just gonna have to wait and see. Also, he's going back
yeah.
on tour again for his Utopia Circus
Right.
Maximus tour, and I thought that was like kind of over. So
Yeah, it's
he's kind
crazy.
of all over the map right now, and
Yeah,
also the
yeah.
Travis Scott rule that they implemented as well with Billboard. I don't know if you saw that, or that's what they're calling it.
No, what is that?
So basically, what Billboard did, because recently they've been having sort of like an issue, or I guess I don't know how to describe it. Like it makes the chart kind of look silly
Mm,
because when Travis Scott re-released Days Before Rodeo,
mhm.
he was going up against Sabrina Carpenter. So
Sure.
what he did was he dropped the vinyl, he dropped the deluxe vinyl, but then during the week he dropped all these different versions, the digital versions of the album. So
Mm,
there was like a chopped and screwed version, there was like a live version, there was a version with songs with the song Houdini, which I joked was going to be on the album way before to get sales. And I can't believe it actually happened. And the
yeah,
funny part
yeah.
about that was it was like a YouTube rip that he just put on there.
Mm,
But they did basically anything to inflate the sales so that he could go number one, which he ended up doing. But the thing is, the week after, I think it was reported it was like the biggest fall off by an album that went number one on the Billboard
yeah,
top
okay.
1 200. And I
Yeah,
think it
okay.
was the quickest from number one to completely fall out of the charts. And then
Mm,
with 4x4, he did a thing with the CDs where some of it went to LA wildfire relief. So he got that to number one with 4x4, and then it completely dropped out of the charts
sure, okay.
again.
Yeah,
So a lot of
yeah,
people were upset with that.
yeah.
And also just the whole digital album thing in general. That's why with Cardi, he was doing the whole like V1, V2, V3 thing with like all the different songs he already dropped.
Mm,
But
yeah,
basically, they made it so, and people are calling the Travis Scott rule, how like digital albums, you can only have like 4 in the first week or like 4 in a week.
okay.
And I think they have to be like pre planned. You can't, I think you have to have it before like the album drops. Like you can't just drop in the middle of the week.
Mm,
They
okay.
changed the prices of like vinyl and stuff, because what a lot of people were doing as well is that they were doing $5 vinyl
Yeah,
to
yeah.
boost their sales.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Like Nav right now, he sold a lot first week,
Mm,
but it's because he had 50K in pure sales. Or like French Montana, and that was a whole giant thing that happened
yeah,
where the vinyls, because I also collect a lot of vinyl as well.
sure, yeah.
They he Everyone bought these vinyl and they never shipped.
Mm,
So that was a whole giant controversy
mhm.
as well. But he sold like 50K first
Crazy.
week or something like that. Even
Yeah.
Travis Scott with Utopia, he was doing $5 vinyl. I bought like so many of each cover, and I still didn't get all the covers I wanted, but the whole
Mm,
$5 vinyl thing as well. Anything to really
yeah.
inflate the numbers. So
Yeah, yeah.
Billboard was trying to stop
Mm.
curve that at least a little bit.
Yeah, I've kind of always wondered, like, in terms of kind of inflating these sales and stuff. Like, when an artist goes live, like goes on tour, why wouldn't they, along with ticket sales, like include just like a CD or something like that, or a
Well,
vinyl with a
that's what they were
ticket?
doing before, because
Mm,
they changed the rules a few times. So
okay.
before 2020, that was a huge controversy with Drake, and I forget
Uh,
who it was, the artist, but Drake dropped Dark Lane demo tapes, and the other artists had, because that's what people would do too. You bundle tickets with a you just get the CD on the side.
mm,
So they did that, and it knocked Drake out of the number one spot, I believe, with Dark Lane demo tapes, and
okay.
stopped his streak. So that's why for a while Billboard stopped with the whole like bundle thing,
Mm,
because that's what was going on. And that was like the issue with Nicki and Travis back in all the way in 2018 with the whole Astroworld thing,
Mm,
because he was bundling all that stuff. So for a while, like from 2020 to about 2023, they stopped doing the whole bundle thing.
mm.
But then everyone's sales like started tanking a little bit, and sales were like really low. Artists who were selling like 70, 100K first week were only pushing like 10 to 20K first week. So
Okay.
they decided to bring it back, and
Yeah.
then they used the system again, and now they got to keep changing it.
It's so crazy, just this whole world of, like, trying to get to number 1, because once you get to number 1, like, that snowball just keeps going, right, to a degree. Obviously, with what Travis Scott was doing to make this rule, that didn't necessarily work out because his stuff was dropping off, but the idea is you get to that certain point on the charts and you keep going because radio wants to play
Yeah,
you and all this stuff, right? So the snowball goes, but yeah, I guess Travis Scott has pushed the limits enough to figure out that that only works under certain circumstances. I don't know. So crazy.
definitely for sure. And it's just it's interesting because it's like he's just playing the system, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like
Mhm.
how it's made. I think they just don't like songs and albums just disappearing
Yeah.
that quickly
Yeah, yeah.
off the chart. They don't want their charts manipulated like that because it
Yeah,
makes them look
totally.
really, really bad. But it's
Yeah.
interesting because on the flip side, like on the Hot 100, like the songs, like it's been staying steady for like the longest time. I think Luther just broke the record, or is now Kendrick Lamar's second longest charting song, or the longest.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
tied with Humble. So I think that's why they're doing it too, because one is so like steady, and then the other one is just like
Yeah.
all over the
All
place.
over, yeah, totally. Man, that's crazy, yeah. Yeah, I've been looking and just seeing Luther up there, like, just constantly is pretty crazy. Obviously, Kendrick is having a huge couple years, and it doesn't really seem like it's gonna dissipate anytime soon. You've been talking a lot about Playboi Carti, his label, what they're doing. I'm just curious for you to dive into a little bit of that.
Yeah. So I mean, Playboy Cardi is just an artist I've been following for a long time now. I mean, I kind of, the funny thing is I followed music from when the album, from when it first like started being a thing, and it's kind of like a proud thing for me all the way
Mm,
until it actually dropped
yeah,
around a year and a half later. And also before that, when he originally tweeted like, to all my fans, it's time. But the Playboy Cardi thing has just been so interesting because there was so much hype, and I think he delivered on it, definitely numbers wise. And also I like the album, I
yeah,
enjoy it, but it was just like so much anticipation all the time. And it's funny because in some of my videos I scream like, I am the music, and I do that because that's what DJ Swamp Izzle does
mm,
on Evil Jordan.
yeah, yeah.
And I was following him for so long and doing it for so long, some people thought that was me on the album, and I was like, nah,
That's
that's
crazy.
not. But it's awesome too when I go to like festivals and stuff, people will do that to me.
Yeah,
They're like, oh yeah, 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 you're the I am the music guy. And I'm like, yeah, but the Cardi stuff, I mean, I I've it's been a lot going on, and he's someone I think people were underrating a lot just because he hadn't dropped in 5 years, and Whole Lot of Red was
yeah.
so long ago. And I think a lot of people didn't want to believe the hype about how big he was. But being on the ground, like at these festivals with
Mm,
these fans, like people dressing up in like the craziest outfits, like face paint, like
mhm,
all that. I'm like, when this guy finally drops, it's going to like be huge. And I was worried that he kind of missed his moment dropping all the songs and then going away for a while
yeah,
once again.
yeah,
But he definitely delivered. I think he's a bona fide superstar. And it's
mhm,
I even with covering Carter, I even went to his birthday party, which was a whole giant wreck. He had this event in New York City where he was trying to host a birthday event after he dropped All Red. It was the day after in New York
mm.
City. And then it ended up getting canceled because there was just like a riot there pretty much that broke out.
Oh, man.
So like I
Crazy.
get there, I'm waiting in line, and it was they dropped tickets for it. And but the thing they did, which they messed up on, they made it like 21 plus at this small like warehouse.
Mm,
They're completely outnumbered, and then they dropped the location early. So you had all these kids just pull up
mm, yeah,
trying to get in. So we're
yeah.
waiting in line, and then we just get there's just like this giant like push forward, like all these people just start moving up in line because all these people had rushed the door and they were
Crazy.
just trying to get in. There's only one door, like it's a
Yeah.
warehouse with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
one door. So like there was crowd crush right there. And then somebody passed out and they were tasing people and all this
Oh
stuff.
my
So
gosh.
like I think they just had to call it because I'm watching some people I know on Twitch. Like with Cardi, do you know who Dabo is?
Oh, yeah.
So like we're watching his stream and line, and I'm like, they're like, it's at capacity. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, this is not at capacity.
Mhm.
But they were just completely outnumbered. I think
Yeah.
Cardi said NYPD told him if he went that he'd like arrest him probably for like inciting a riot or some shit like that. And
Crazy.
then NYPD showed up and we just had to like leave. So it was just
That's
I've been trying to follow Cardi as much as I can. I've been to every Cardi performance except for the ones in Europe from when he started a whole lot of red and not a whole lot of red from I Am Music
mm,
until now. So I've been following. I even saw the first one in California a couple weeks ago too. So
man.
I try to follow as much as I can. You know, I'm
Yeah.
just a nerd for this stuff, and I try to be as close and cover as much as possible. But definitely that with him, and also Opium as well with Ken Carson, who just dropped
Mm,
his new album,
mhm.
which I enjoyed. I liked it definitely for sure. It's I prefer like Cardi, of course. Like some of
Mm.
the newer stuff isn't like my favorite, but
Sure.
I think he's progressed well and he's selling really well. Like I think he's gonna have his first week sales are at like 67, 68
Mm.
first week, which is
Yeah.
higher his highest yet.
Yeah.
And Destroy Lonely as well, and also Homicide Gang, but and they're the other one that's a part of that group. And it's gonna be really interesting to see where they kind of go from here now that Cardi's dropped and now that Cardi's co-signed them and
Mm.
did a song with them, like on Ken Carson's last album. That was huge because
Yeah.
he's never done that before.
Mhm.
He's never really acknowledged them. Like he's
Yeah.
brought them on stage, put them in cages when he's performed, all this stuff, but they've never had any music together. So I'm really curious to see where that goes with that. And just Cardi not being mysterious in general. I mean, he went from not posting it all,
Mhm.
posting all the time, dropping an album, dropping the deluxe,
Yeah.
going on tour with the weekend, dropping an emote in Fortnite, doing all this stuff. It's like it's gonna be
Yeah.
really interesting to see for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure. Yeah, he definitely, like he even though, like, this whole rollout of Via Music has been, like, interesting. There's all kinds of people's opinions on how it went and if he waited too long and if, he kind of if he actually, provided on the hype that was surrounding it, and that's whatever, but, like, it has kinda catapulted him into a different level of superstardom, like, where even if maybe you could say that the album didn't live up to the hype or something, his popularity that grew from this is, like, insane.
And also, I think you've said this before, is any album that you wait 5 years on is never going
No, it's
to live
not.
up to the hype.
Yeah.
I've known so many albums. Like I think of I Am Music. I think of an album, and I like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but some people are indifferent on it.
Mm,
I think
mhm.
of Drake back in the day when he dropped Views. I'm thinking
Yeah.
a bunch of these albums that we even Childish Gambino's new album, and I didn't
Yeah.
really like that album
Yeah.
all that much. It
Mhm.
was never going to live up to that. Even Utopia in a way too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it was never going to live up to the hype of
Mhm.
what you expect because people just get
Yeah,
anticipation and just
yeah.
like they listen to leaks, they listen to this, they listen to that, and they get this false sense of what the album should be in their head. And
Mhm.
then they get mad when it doesn't turn out the way they wanted it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's impossible to please everybody, especially the longer you wait. It becomes really difficult. And the longer you wait compounded with, like, how popular you are and how much you've meant to the genre as a whole. Those things, like, it's really hard to overcome that.
Now I gotta ask you, is there an album that you waited a long time for that you're like, ah, this was not worth the wait, just like whatsoever?
That's a good question. I think, like I think I could say it about, like, I know it hasn't been, like, super long in between, like, Kendrick Lamar's, like, there was the gap in between, like, Big Steppers, and then there was the gap in between, GNX, and I would say, like, both of those albums, even though I love them, I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. I still, like, there's a little bit of letdown with them, and even though there wasn't a huge gap, but, like, there's a little bit of, like, I thought he was gonna go in a different direction. I thought this, I thought that. I just think it's really tough, especially the more you like somebody. It's just so tough, and especially if you've like really latched onto an album. I guess one um, I really enjoyed Bon Iver, and he just dropped his new album, and I thought it was really good, but it's it's just not gonna be what I want it to be, because I
Yeah.
want it to be groundbreaking. I want it to be something that has never been done before, and, like, I really enjoy the album, I probably listen to it a lot, but in the end, it's like, there's still some unmet expectation there. Even though I love this artist and I'm gonna say I love the album, that expectation is unmet a little bit, because you have these kind of grandiose ideas of what you think it might be like, and, whatever. So, yeah.
And I can definitely see that with an album like GNX, you know, like some people want to like, especially coming off the beef, like, oh, like
Mhm,
he's gonna do something like thought provoking, all this stuff, like
mhm.
something really conceptual. And
Yeah.
then because I like GNX and I listen to it a lot, and but it's definitely not, I think, what a lot of people are expecting, what I was
Mhm.
expecting
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
But you gotta appreciate it for I appreciate it for what it is, knowing that it's not that conceptual and it's just like this fun album that he
Mhm.
wanted to do together. And it's kind of like the opposite of like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, at least for me, because it's like I like the album, I listen to it. Same thing kind of with T-Pab too.
Yeah.
Cause it's like, but it's not an album like GNX I can listen to like whenever.
Yeah. Yeah.
T-Pab or like Mr. Morale, I'm not going to listen to like
Mhm.
whenever, or like I'm
Yeah.
at the gym, or like when
Yeah.
I'm on a walk, or like in the car. Like
Yeah.
that's like a time and a place I kind of want to sit down and just like
Totally.
listen to it. Like
Yeah.
there's different like different things for
Yeah.
different times for
Yeah,
sure.
totally.
Same thing with Cardi. It's like I'm not like if I'm in my feelings, I'm not gonna listen to Cardi
Yeah.
and Evil Jordan, listen to a song like Pop Out. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
doing something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a time and a place, and there's an enjoyability to it
Mhm.
still. That's the thing with like you talk about music review and like all this stuff is like sometimes we're too like black and white
Yeah.
with like our
Mhm.
opinions sometimes, and
Yeah.
it's definitely been watered down a lot with a lot of this with a lot of the stuff. But it's like no, there's context to everything
Mhm.
and all that. That's why I hate when people are like they don't like an album, or like they don't like this, they don't like that, and they don't want to explain why. It's like okay, why are you feeling
Yeah.
this emotion
Yeah.
about this stuff? It's
Mhm.
okay not to like stuff. It's
Yeah.
just like you got to explain.
Yeah.
Same reason why I like it, you got to explain why you don't like it as well.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah, it just gets really tricky just because of how subjective music is. Like, I think some people really want to have some objectivity, and there is um yeah, with production, like sometimes production can be bad, but then you think of like JPEG Mafia, it's like he intentionally produces things that don't sound sonically good, and producers are
Thousand
like, "Oh,
percent.
like what's this?" But he's like doing it for the vibe of the album, right? So like it's just one of those things where like even something that, maybe objectively isn't as good, it's like, well, maybe that was the intention of the album and the creator. And it's actually funny that you bring up like kind of the this kind of expectation. I find it funny when I think of Kendrick, because I was a little disappointed with Big Steppers when it first came out, even though that's one of my favorite, because of the direction he took emotionally in that. So I was like, because he was riding off of, these 3 albums that were just like huge albums. He's talking a ton, like he's just really getting, philosophical, political, in, human rights, really focused, and just loving it, loving that, loving what he's saying, all that. And then he gets just really introspective with Big Steppers. And I
Yeah.
was kind of disappointed with that. But then when he drops GNX, I was kind of disappointed that he was like, it was almost too surface level. I was like, so it's funny how, like, even though I was a little disappointed by the way he took Big Steppers, now that Big Steppers is out, I like it for what it is, and I actually really appreciate what he did there. And then I'm, like, disappointed with the next one, because I was like, "Ah, it's not quite like I wanted him to do, like, from Big Steppers," right? So it's funny how your perceptions just change as an artist decides what they wanna do next with, their next project and stuff. So
And I think what you're saying is also important as well when talking about like music commentary and music review that I feel like there's a lacking of. And there's people like Fantano who I really appreciate for
mhm,
this, even though a lot of people might not, is that we don't get enough of, I feel like, and I don't, this might sound like wild, but like saying like something is like bad or like I don't like it. Like I feel like sometimes we're
mm,
so focused on like trying to not get people mad with our opinions, that it's
Sure.
like
Yeah.
we kind of don't like you said, you're like, yeah, I don't really like it that much, which is perfectly fine. I'd much rather you be honest like that than be like, oh yeah, it's the greatest album of all time. It's
Yeah.
go to Kendrick Lamar did a sing again. But it's
Yeah.
like you're allowed to say like, no, this is not good. And that
Yeah.
honest commentary is needed because I feel like we get some of the best albums after artists get a pushback for like dropping something that's like
Mhm.
not as good. Like there's some albums that some people think are amazing. I'm like, not I'm not as hot on it. You know what? You know it's a big one for me. You know, you talk about Mr. Brown, GNX. You know it's a big one for me. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I don't hate the
Mhm.
album. I think it's a good album,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's his best album, and I've never really
Yeah.
thought that. But that's one
Mm.
of those albums where I'm like it's good. I enjoy it, but best album of all time,
Mm.
best in his discography. I'm
Yeah.
good on that. Or Nothing Was the Same by Drake. I'm like, I like it. I listen to it a lot, but there's just albums that
Mhm.
I like more. And also, like you say, being critical, like it's very important to just how we consume music.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to, like, to realize your opinion can change. And I think that sometimes we get entrenched in something that we've said, as like content creators for this specifically, and especially if you're really heavy into the review side of things, you feel like once you say your review, you have to stick to it no matter what. And like I think to some degree, yeah, you don't want to be flip flopping all over the place, but like if like 3 or 4 years down the road, like you're like, hey, that was a mistake. Like that wasn't as good of a review as it should have been, or that album's grown on me now, or I just didn't understand it at the time that it was released. And I feel like people kind of get scared away from that. And maybe it's like I do feel like you mentioned Fantano. I do feel like sometimes people that have those big personalities, like he does, he almost like feels like he can't walk things back. Sometimes he does. Like I've seen some of his stuff where he like will be like, here's some, reviews that I was wrong on. But I think sometimes, and even when you say something is really good, maybe you get just like caught up in it. Like I'm just like I'm not convinced that this whole like ride of sexy big or Sexy Red or whatever, her big like album that like critically people were just like loving, like Pitchfork like gave it a crazy rating. Fantano, I'm just like I get what you were doing and I get the album, but I just don't think like are you still listening to that album? If you give this album like a 9 or an 8.5 or something, shouldn't that be an album that you're like always going back to? Like I don't think that's an album that people are going to in 10 years going to be like this album changed hip hop. Like and it's like the rating you gave it was that, and it's like you gotta there's gotta be some correction here, because I get what you're trying to do and I get that like there's some significance to this, and that it was a good album in general. Like I get all this, but it's like it's one of those things where the wave gets like a little bit too big and you're like at the pinnacle and you're like, yeah, okay, some there needs to be an adjustment made. So like whether it's on the negative side or even on the positive side, I think just some sort of like, hey, yeah, that was a little bit like ambitious that I gave that album such a great rating over this or something like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes with that too, though, you got to take it in the context of like the time of like that's the best that she's put out like then right now. Because I also think of some of the other reviews that he like some people have done over the years or he's done that some I've agreed with, some I just don't listen to the music that
Mhm.
have aged well, and also some that haven't aged as well. So it's like I think it's like more of in the context of the time. Like I think some
Yeah.
of the older ones are like of Lil Boat, which I actually like that album a lot. I've
Mhm.
always agreed with him, or like a Lil Pump. It's all like in the context of where we're at in the music.
Mhm.
Then when they're the hottest out. 'Cause even like Pitchfork, I mean, I think that reminds me with the new Ice Spice album, they gave it like something super wicked high, and it was just like, all right, cool. Like I guess,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I mean, it to each their own. I
That's
mean, if
true.
you if
Yeah.
you really like that,
Yeah.
I mean, I got to give it to them too. I mean, if you're gonna sit there and because they know what they're gonna get when you rate an album like that, like an 8 out of 10,
Yeah, it's true.
however it is, like
Yeah.
I give it to them because it's like people will let you know that they don't
Yeah.
agree
Yeah.
with your opinions. I mean, I dealt with that a lot, especially Cardi fans are nice to me, but sometimes I scroll in r slash like Kanye or good ass sub. when I try to find news. You know how many times I've been in there and it's been a photo of me just being like, I hate this guy so much. He's so like annoying with that. Like people are
Man, yeah.
strong with their it's like me and the NFR guys and like that's it. They actually did a poll at one point. They're like, who's the worst character of the rollout? And like I was ranked higher than some terrible people. I was like, yo,
Oh
all I do
my
is talk
god.
about the news, but also going back to like when I do commentary, like
Mhm.
I'm also honest with
Yeah,
what I do. Like
yeah.
especially like people like Kanye or Cardi, like I'm gonna say when like what they're doing is like terrible. Like when
Mm,
Kanye was using the AI and like vultures too. Like, nah, that's whack, that's corny,
mm.
and I don't like it. Also, the album is not that good.
Yeah, yeah.
Or like just when Cardi doesn't drop and all this stuff, like yeah, I'm annoyed and I don't like that. Especially the night of the album dropped, I was like, dang, because he had me. I was up till midnight. I was all dressed up, had my best suit and tie on, and
Mm,
he didn't.
yeah,
He didn't drop. And then
I
I
know.
woke up again in the middle of the night, 6 at 3 a.m. Still didn't drop. And the thing was, I had to work a full day, and then I took a flight to California to go watch him in concert. So I was like,
That's crazy. Yeah.
but it's definitely important to like you can talk about stuff and appreciate music and art and rap and hip hop, but also you don't have to agree with everything that the person
Mhm.
is doing or what they put out. Because
Yeah.
I just think that's really just super important.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, you don't have to die on that hill, like, and you can disagree with stuff, and you can be also okay with people that disagree. Like, obviously, it's different if somebody's just a hater to be a hater, and like, you're getting some of that in the Kendrick Drake beef, like, people that are just really like superficial, like not like, surface level fans that are really getting into this dialogue. And it's like, come on, like you don't, you just want to be in this because it's just volatile and you like the tea. It has nothing to do with like whether you actually, have an opinion on it or whatever. So like you do get that, but I think for the most part, fans just have a hard time with other people, like with somebody that disagrees with them or somebody that might not think that their favorite artist is like the best person in the world.
Especially with the stan culture of everything now too. Especially you
Mhm,
talk about like the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef, and we're nearing like 1 year on
mhm,
that whole weekend, and it's just like they're still going at it, and still I see more of the Drake side of it just because whenever I'm on Twitter, that's just what I see,
mhm,
and Kendrick I just see all the time, and I feel like they're honestly doing it more maybe, but it's just like constantly trying to find ways to dig at Kendrick
mhm.
and vice versa as well, and it's just like I'm a normal person who just enjoys like both. Like
Yeah.
I still listen to both. Yeah, yes, I think Kendrick won and he won by a good margin, but
Mhm,
it's like it's not gonna stop me from listening. The only thing that's only tainted it for me was just the whole lawsuit thing. I was kind of like, that's not really all that cool to me, but
mhm.
I'm still gonna listen. I mean, it doesn't have any personal stakes in it
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
That's the thing. These people like these Aubrey's attorneys, like they're like they think like there's like personal stakes involved
Mhm,
for like them with like this lawsuit. It's like no, that's not like what's going on. And
mhm,
people attach themselves like
mhm.
with that parasocial relationship, like your besties with Drake. Like no, you don't know him. He don't know you. Same thing with Kendrick and all these other artists.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and you have this down as like as one of your least favorite storylines going right now, which is just how this is dragging out forever.
Yeah.
And
Well, now they're talking about like the ticket thing with them selling tickets, and it's like
crazy.
it's also like with some of the like Twitter and stuff like that is there's never like full context and it's just like such an echo chamber of what you want to see
Yeah. Oh,
without knowing
absolutely.
the full context.
Yeah.
Now they're saying like Kendrick isn't selling that well and it's like no actually he's selling like these stadiums like he's at like 98 99% capacity like they're like oh yeah he's not selling like these last 3 4,000 tickets like oh he's not selling well yeah in a stadium of 100,000 yeah
Yeah,
there's
well,
probably going with a month left like come on like what
and also, what are you talking about? All of the tickets are sold. They're all just resale now. Like,
yeah
like that. Like the tickets are sold as far as Kendrick's concerned because now it's just people that have bought them and are reselling. And it's like, which is, that's a whole different topic to get on as to why live concerts are so messed up right now. But But from Kendrick's eyes, his whole tour is pretty much sold out. It's just like, yeah, some of these people that bought tickets and they're trying to make a profit off of it and jacking up the prices, like, who's gonna be able to pay, almost $1,000 for nosebleeds? Like, not me.
Yeah, that's why I honestly like going to the festivals more now because it's
Mhm.
like I get more for
Yeah. Yeah.
just what you get in general, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to think. Yeah, I mean, definitely right with that. I mean, the concert tickets I pay for right now, my Kendrick tickets, I'm trying to think, they're probably like 300, 400. But also, I know like kind of what to do, and I know like how not to like get upsold on like Ticketmaster
Mhm.
and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
So like I'm able to get it for like an alright price. I'm trying to think. Yeah, my weekend tickets were like 5, and like the Tyler ones were like 3. But like festival, I mean, it's just so much more worth it nowadays, at least
Mhm.
for me, because I listen to a whole bunch of different artists, and it's been really cool to be able to go to all the different ones that I've been able to go to and do now.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like you are, like, traveling all over the place. You're just, like, every festival you wanna be there, is that the idea?
Well, every hip hop one I try to be
Mhm.
there, especially. There's a few that I'd never gone to before this year that I've finally been able to go to. And I've never traveled before this year. I've not traveled at all because I was always in school
Mm.
working, and I also wrestled in college, so I was always doing that. So I
Yeah.
never had a chance to really do anything, and I never had a job or nothing, so I was always focused on that in school. So this is my first time being able to really travel. So the only festival I'd gone to before, I went to Gov Ball for one day to see Kendrick, and then I went to all the Rolling Louds in New York City.
Mm.
But this year I did Rolling Loud in Miami, first time in Miami. I did the one in LA. I did Flogna in LA. Did Dreamville 2 weeks ago, and then I did Summer Smash. But the cool thing is they all kind of offer something at least a little bit different
Mm.
lineup wise.
Mhm.
Like Rolling Loud is a lot more of the general who's hot, who's who, and it's a lot more bigger of a like a festival
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Dreamville's really smaller, but it's kind of more like a community, like setting a lot more chill. You're in the park, you're
Mhm.
you're just chilling out, listening to cool artists all day that are Dreamville and some other ones. Flogna I really like because it's like I like Tyler, so like a lot of the artists that are adjacent to him
Mm.
I already know, and
Yeah.
it's curated close to that, and it's just the carnival experience is a little bit different, so it's like cool to me.
Yeah.
And then Summer Smash is really nice too because it's a little bit different and has more of like the underground artists from Chicago and also some of the more underground artists that are up right now, and it's a good like mix of all the artists that are going up right now.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And do you have a favorite yet that you've gone to so far?
I just feel like they're all like I like them all for like
Different reasons?
different
Yeah.
reasons, but it's tough because they're all just like so the same, but so different. So
Mhm.
I gotta run it back when hopefully for year 2 to see
Yeah. Yeah,
if
once you
anything
once you have, like,
sticks out
a
more.
bunch of them under your belt there. Yeah.
What about you? You go to any festival? You got any festivals planned?
Man, I wish. The festivals are tough. We have a daughter, she's 6, and being in a city where we don't really have any family or anything like that, it's tough to leave her for a full day. So
That's the other thing I want to say though. Keep your kid at home. Like when I go to these festivals, yo, I be seeing people with like
oh,
their kids
no.
that age. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that to that
No,
child? Like this
I would not do that, absolutely
to
not.
their ears too?
I
Like, come
know,
on, like
yeah.
what?
She does like concerts, and
Yeah.
she does definitely like certain people that would be at those festivals, but that would just well, for one, it's such a long day, and then she would be bored. It would make it miserable for both of us, and so, um, yeah, I actually have never been to a festival, so I really want to. I enjoy concerts, it's just, it's an easier pill to swallow an evening as opposed to a day or multiple days, right?
We
But,
might have to go to Bonnaroo, yo. We might have to go to Bonnaroo real quick.
I know that Bonnaroo comes through, and I'm always like, "Man, maybe I should go to Bonnaroo," and then I
Wasn't it
just never do.
Stagecoach this weekend too? Or was that last weekend?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like that was I should look it up. Stagecoach. That is coming up, 25th. Yeah.
It's gonna be a busy week there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's yeah, anyway, I would love to get out to some festivals, maybe.
You gotta do it at least like one
I
time.
know, I
Just
know.
just pick one of your favorite or but like with Coachella, it's like you gotta come
Oh,
prepared. That's another thing with these festivals people don't get is like
yeah.
it's a long like a 3 day one. It's a
Yeah.
long 3 day like
Yeah,
festival, and
totally.
that's like without the camping
Yeah.
and all that. Like I was thinking about Coachella Bonnaroo, like you're out there camping, like you
Mm,
gotta be
mhm.
ready to go. It's a long
Yeah.
3 days. It's fun.
Yeah, I know. It's intense. Like it's not just in your average experience. Um yeah, Bonnaroo would be a lot of fun. It's in the middle of nowhere. Like it's not like yeah, I don't know, it's like an hour and change outside of Nashville or something in like this small little town. So it's like it's kind of a cool thing that way. But yeah, I've thought about a bunch of different ones. And I'd love to do it just because, you know, you just get to see so many different artists that you
I'm gonna
love.
take you into the pit too. Yeah, I'm gonna take you into that Cardi pit.
Man, I would be there. I would love that, you know?
You know, you got to do it one time, but nowadays I'm like I'm good on it because it's just like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing with these festivals too. People don't get that. It's like when you're in these crowds of people and you
Yeah.
get to the front, and they're
Mhm.
like, I can't believe it. It was so wild. Like never again. It's like, what did you expect? Like you're in the front of this crowd of people.
Exactly.
Do you not understand how physics work? Like when I did my first Rolling Loud in 2019, I lost my shoes in the crowd at one point.
That's
We
crazy.
were just moving back and forth and just I've done it a few times, but like that first time after that, I was just like,
Mm.
"Ooh,
I did a show, an episode with a guy that has done some writing for Pitchfork, Olivier
mhm.
Lafontaine, and he said that he went to I can't remember which festival he went to, but he went into the Ken Carson pit, and both him and a buddy and both of their phones got stolen, and
Yeah, I
they
had
like
my
came
phone
out
stolen
and
too at
they
a
were like
festival."
they
Yeah,
like found their phone cases on the ground, and like he was like it was just a bunch of young like kids, and he was like and he's not that old, like he's like I'm like if you're calling them young kids, I don't like are they 12? But he was like I think he's like 22, maybe 23, and he's calling these like so obviously they're like teens, right? So it's just it's a whole different experience. I have been in pits before. When I was in high school, I was like really into alt rock, so I've been in some serious mosh pits.
that's a real like.
It's a war zone. It's a war zone. It's a battlefield, man.
But then there's some people that take it too far, and I'm
I
like,
know.
all right, like we're moshing, but you don't gotta like. And there's some like like
Mhm.
big dudes, and
Yeah.
it's like you don't gotta like kick me in my back, yo. Like you don't
Yeah.
gotta like. There's a point where it's like, okay, now you're just being like hurting somebody just because you
Mhm.
got some weird thing going on where you
Yeah.
like that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
can we chill? But it's funny with that. I lost my phone at Rolling Loud too one time. It was the second one I went to, and I survived ski mask, but then I lost it during like Lil Yachty or like
Mhm.
some shit. And that was the time Cardi performed in the rain actually
Okay.
at Rolling Loud,
Yeah.
New York. So
Yeah.
like I was already defeated. It was a fun. That was a really like
Yeah.
fun concert experience
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
That was the first time. The second time he did a whole lot of red, but that train ride back was like,
Yeah.
oh, because it was so
Brutal.
cold, and I
Yeah.
was just like,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
man.
it's definitely something you got to do at least one time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's and yeah, these festivals are getting so big, like they've always been big, but like just influencer um culture has just like just the fact that like Lollapalooza, like the whole Chapel Roan Lollapalooza thing where she's playing like those are massive crowds. Coachella
Yeah,
is insane now. Like it's so busy. Like all of these festivals are just like they're just getting so packed, so full of people, which is, you know, that's obviously from the festival's perspective, that's what they want. But to a degree, like a lot of people are just saying, like I know a few people that enjoy going to festivals, and that's kind of something they've done for a long time, and they're like, it's unbearable. I don't even know if I want to go anymore. Like there's just the people that are there, how many people are there, how insane they get. And it's like, yeah, I get it, but like you kind of sign up for that a little bit. Like, you know, there's going
yeah.
to be a little bit of wildness when you go to a festival like that. And
That's why I say like, why are you going to the front of the stage then if you don't want to be around
yeah,
all of these
yeah,
people? Like,
yeah. If you
don't
don't want to get
what
wrecked,
did you expect?
yeah, totally,
Or the
totally.
other thing I hate at these festivals too, and this is like my biggest festival pet peeve probably, is like the people. who are there with like their partner or like their girlfriend, whoever, and they put them on like their shoulders, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I guess you're the main character and nobody behind you can see. Like that's
Seriously.
like
Yeah.
that's cool. Like you're
Yeah.
lucky somebody doesn't come topple you over right now.
Mhm.
Like it's just like, but I feel like with the festival etiquette, with how large the crowds have gotten, it's definitely been a mixed bag with that
Mhm.
as well, because it's just like it gets to a point where it's like I don't even know if if you can have any etiquette with some of like how
Yeah.
big these
Yeah.
crowds are.
Yeah, it's true, and, like, it's impossible from, like, a sound person perspective to, like, adequately, mix sound for that big of a crowd. Like, when I was looking at the size of the audience at Lollapalooza for Chappell Roan, I was like, some of these people probably can't even hear at all. Like, they're just like, "I'm just here to be in the crowd." Like, the crowd
Yeah.
spans forever and ever, and even if they can hear, like, there's no way they're time delaying those speakers that far back. So it's like they're hearing her singing. It's like a 10-second time delay on her voice. It's like it would
and
be
and
crazy.
you speak about that, and that's a really interesting perspective that we don't hear a lot about that because I don't work in that side, and I guess I
Mhm.
take it you work with some of that stuff, right?
A little
It's
bit,
like,
not a ton, but enough to know a little
yeah,
bit.
but it's just like with some of these artists, it's like I can barely hear them. Like
Mhm, mhm.
Cardi when he's performing, like you could sometimes hear him, but then it's like with people like Kendrick, you can hear him, and also like the whole like thing with like backing tracks and all that is like a
Yeah,
whole other giant
yeah,
can of worms
mhm.
with some of these artists. But you're definitely right. It's like you're just there for the vibes and just
Yeah,
to
the
hear them say
experience
one
kind
ad
of,
lib.
like, to be there in the crowd and to be like, "I was there for that moment," which is, that's just as valuable as an experience. It's just a different experience, I think, like, you think of different concert goers in different ways. Like, you've got a big stadium tour, and you're there more for the performance almost than you are, especially with big pop artists. Like, you think of Taylor Swift, you think of Sabrina Carpenter, you think of Olivia Rodrigo. You're there for their performance even more than the songs necessarily. And that's kind of what these big stadium tours have come into, like, have started to mean. And then you get into more smaller intimate venues, and like that's when you're there to like share like these good moments with artists. And then you're at a festival, and it's almost like you're there for the cultural experience, and you're
Yeah.
there to like listen to as much music as possible and to hear like it's kind of like a little bit of music discovery at the same time. You can hear some smaller artists that maybe you've never heard of. So it's like they're all different experiences, and people value them for all different reasons. And yeah, when you're when you're at, like, if you're a sound guy at a friggin' festival, you're just like, at some point you have to give up. You have to be like, I can't make this any better. Like, this is just as good as it's gonna get. Like, I don't like, there
Yeah.
could be like, I'm designing this soundscape for 10,000 people. Like, if there's 100,000, like, I guess they're screwed. Like, I'm not doing anymore. They've given me this much budget. So it's like they do what they do, and then yeah, it's all a mixed bag. It's a mixed
100%.
bag. Sometimes you
Are
get
there any?
amazing performances, and then sometimes you get ones that
Yeah.
you're like, "Woof."
And that's why I'm honestly kind of interested and excited because like Cardi the Weekend, all these artists are doing stadiums now. And I saw Travis when he did his one stadium show at MetLife.
Mm,
And it was just like a really cool thing to see because I'd never seen a hip hop artist in a venue like that big. So
mm,
I'm really
totally.
excited to see all
Yeah.
these artists in these giant stadiums. But I want to ask, so like with hip hop shows, are there any ones that you've gone to that have stuck out and like, or like performances you've heard that have stuck out that you've gone and seen?
Honestly, I haven't, like, being in Nashville, there's not as many hip hop artists like, for example, Kendrick Lamar is not even coming through here. The closest he's gonna be to me is Atlanta.
He's
Um,
not going to Memphis either. I'm surprised.
no, he's not gonna. I don't think there would be anything really big enough for him in Memphis. Atlanta would still be closer to me than Memphis anyway. Um, But, I really didn't start doing a whole lot of concerts because I grew up on the East Coast of Canada and nobody went there, like, nobody. We'd have to travel, so you basically had to handpick who you had to really, kinda and that was, like, high school and college, so obviously I wasn't like, I didn't have money to, like, fly to concerts or something like that. So it really has only been the last couple years that I've been going to concerts, and unfortunately, I actually haven't seen any big hip hop acts, and it's really sad because I really enjoy it. Um, I almost saw Childish Gambino when he came through, but we were out of town, and I was actually
Yeah.
really disappointed, for that because I really wanted to see him. And but like I said, there's not a lot of people that come through here, and it's really slim pickings, which, I guess I kinda get, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like there's an audience here for this, but it's all about they wanna maximize ticket sales, so, if they don't wanna take a risk on a place like Nashville, because they know, it's more of a country, pop, folk area.
That's so interesting too, because I have a few friends who live in the Midwest. Not like some live in Chicago, but some who live in like my one friend Chris who lives in Missouri,
Mm,
and he's like, yeah, I got to drive like 5 hours to go to
yeah,
like,
he would.
and that's so weird to me because
Yeah,
like I have Boston right next to me, and I also have New York City, and also
yeah,
Connecticut with Hartford, so
yeah,
it's like
you've got everything.
it's like an hour to like hour and a half to like 3 hours
Yeah,
max. So it's like not having a concert available is like
yeah.
the weirdest thing like ever to me. You don't
Mhm,
really think about that when you like
mm.
when you just like are able to have it so close to you.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It is, and this has been like I've enjoyed it because I've gone to more concerts now than I ever have. But yeah, I do really wish that I could catch a few more people coming through. Denzel Curry, I think or yeah, I think it's Denzel. Let me see. Is he touring right now? There was somebody
Yeah.
that was there. Yeah, I think it's Denzel Curry is coming through that, and I think I'm gonna go see
Oh
him.
yeah, you should he's really good in concert.
And but yeah, it's really like I said, it's just really tough to see people here,
And I feel like that's the
especially in hip
other
hop.
thing with like listening experiences, like that with like you talk about changing an opinion, like hearing an album in concert,
Yeah,
like
totally different.
really for some albums, like Whole Lotta Red, like that really like changed my opinion and made me like it a lot more and listen to it
Mhm,
when you hear it in like that concert setting and you're around like all these people who are enjoying it as much as you. So like
mm,
concerts are definitely a huge thing as well. Like if you get the chance
yeah,
to do it,
absolutely, yeah,
just
concerts
go
are
do it.
they just raise your level. I guess there is the risk if they're really bad live, but I think that doesn't really happen anymore.
There's some I've seen who aren't the best. There's been a few.
Yeah, yeah. But, like, for the most part, I think you gain respect for an artist when you see them live
1,000%.
than the alternative. A big artist that I grew up listening to is Blink-182, and they were infamous for being just horrible live, just drunk or high out of their minds and just not good. Like, Tom DeLonge is not a good vocalist, so live, he was way worse. So, like, you get some of that a little bit, but for the most part,
Yeah,
if you get into a concert, you're gonna be like, "That was amazing. I loved it," just because the crowd energy is there. Everybody's all there together for this one thing. So the energy's there in the crowd, plus, the energy's there on stage usually. And yeah, it's an experience that typically you're like, "Yeah, now I really like them, now I love them." Or like, "I didn't know this person and now I love them." Like, it's
yeah.
almost always that. Yeah. But, excuse me. Yeah, so let's shift gears here a little bit. I think we've hit some really good stuff, but, I'm curious, you gave me a list of your, like, 5 favorite artists and some of your favorite albums, and, you've got some really good ones on here. I was wondering if you could give me your top 5 favorite Tyler, the Creator songs. We haven't talked a lot of Tyler on this podcast yet, so, I'd be curious what you've got for that.
So for my top 5 Tyler songs, definitely the first 2 that are like 1 and 2 is like Sorry Not Sorry is like my favorite Tyler song. When I watched that music video for the first time and it was just like that was the one that made me cry because it's like the visual. Have you seen it? The visual
Yeah,
of it is
yeah.
like of all the different eras. Like as
Mhm,
someone who's like I started listening to Ty. He was like one of the first artists when I started listening to music, like 2013 when I was in 8th grade. Like he's one of the first
yeah.
like underground artists that I had ever like got into. And we
Mhm.
listened to Wolf in like 8th grade math class the day it dropped or whatever it was.
That's
So
amazing, I
like
love that.
what like just like seeing all those eras, it's kind of like how he grew up, like,
Mhm, mhm.
not to be, like, too parasocial, like, seeing the way I grew up as well, like through all these eras. Like you spend a lot of time with these people,
Yeah, yeah,
listening to their
totally.
music. So that's definitely
Yeah.
my number one. Puppet is probably my number two. I'll
Mhm.
do that. I'll do Answer number three. Trying to think. I like Saint Chroma a lot. That's probably like four.
Okay, yeah,
And
I
then
like the new one in there. I like that.
yeah, and it was awesome. That was the album really awesome to see that live too already when he first dropped
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
Definitely helped a lot. That was like a moment as well. And then for number five, trying to think. Definitely because I like Igor so much.
Yeah,
Trying to think. Another song on there. Definitely like a I think like Are We Still Friends or something like that.
yeah,
But like Igor, like that's like one of my favorite albums ever. So it's like
yeah.
and I
Igor is so
love
good. Yeah.
Tyler. He's just someone I just like I said, grew up on. So it's
Mhm,
just like
mhm. Yeah,
someone
yeah. Do you find, like I find with Igor, like, I think that's one of his best albums, like, I just think he
yeah,
was
I
in
think
a
it's his best album.
yeah, he was, like, just in a creative zone that, like, I don't know, he was just hitting everything. Everything was just fitting into place, and he just unlocked something within himself that was amazing. But I do find that, like, Igor, when I think of like, his albums, discography, whatever, I find Igor sometimes hard to, like, pick out standout tracks on it, not because there aren't, like, standout moments on it, but just because I almost just love that album as a whole. Like, I almost just don't
Yeah.
wanna, like, peel things out of it, whereas, like, I find that, like, Flower Boy has, like, really high highs, you know what I mean? You have, like, things that you peel out of that,
Yeah.
and then, I always forget, even though I love that album, I always forget the next one,
Never
uh
Feel Us.
yes, yeah, it's mostly just because it's a longer title. I'm so bad with song names and album names,
It's all good.
but and that one as well, like, I find that there's with those 2 after Igor, like, I find that year, like, you can kind of, like, pull some really good moments out, like, some hit songs maybe, whereas
Yeah.
Igor just feels like it's just, like it's like all it's one thing to me. It's just that whole album. So I have a hard time because I'll talk about Igor being, like, my favorite, or at least Tyler's best album, then people will be like, "Well, what are some of the songs?" And I'm like, "You know what? Honestly, I just don't know if I can pick songs out of that and, like, take them out without taking, like, 3 or 4 song runs."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's such a it felt like that, and in terms of his creativity, like, he made that album to be a whole album more than any of his other albums.
And I like it so much too because like you said, it's so complete and also like conceptually, like it's such a good concept and also just like you can like it's not hard to like understand and it's relatable for like everyone. Like everyone's
Mm,
loved somebody who's loves somebody else and
yeah,
just the
totally.
feelings and the emotions
Mhm,
of that. It's
mhm.
like a thing that everyone has felt. And the one thing with that album though, people are like, that album's a love album. I'm like, no, that album is not a love album. What are
Yeah.
y'all? What type of weird love are y'all a part of? Like,
Yeah.
it's a breakup album about a relationship he never really was in, but just
Mhm,
those
mhm,
feelings. And I like it more and more because it's kind of like the through line between all the albums. Like Flower Boy, that was his first album. He's really talking about himself, being introspective. Then Igor talking about the relationship he's in and just like needing that, and then Call Me If You Get Lost being more like him flaunting and kind of like showing off his ego, but also
mhm,
at the same time being like, I'm still not happy. And then like Chromacopia is finally like, okay, I accept myself
mhm.
and
Yeah, yeah,
what is going on with my life
yeah.
at this point. So like every album he drops, he gets like just like better and better. But sonically, Igor is just such like a fusion of just everything, and it's just like so creative.
Mhm, mhm.
That's the one tour I wish got to see him on, but I was still
Yeah,
so young, not
yeah.
and I couldn't like afford the tickets.
Mhm.
That I always regret I never got a chance to see him on because I just love that album so
Yeah,
much.
that would've been an amazing tour to be on to be a part of for sure. Yeah. And yeah, that's a good list. I like that. Now I'm also curious about your 5 favorite Future songs, and I'm curious for a different reason. I really, really like Tyler, the Creator. He's probably one of my, if we're talking about strictly hip hop artists, he's probably in my top 5 for sure in terms of favorite.
Yeah.
Um, But Future has always been, like, on the periphery for me. Like, I've always liked Future, but I've never been really into Future. He's always been somebody that when I see him on a feature or, like, listen to some of his stuff, I'm like, "Yeah, I could really get into this," but, like, he's never been, like,
Yeah.
the main artist for me. So, when I run into people that are really big Future fans, I'm always just curious, like, "What are some of your favorite Future songs?" Because yeah, I guess it's just weird when you don't look at an artist in that way, when you're like, I like him but he's
Yeah.
not my favorite, and then somebody's like obsessed with them. Not I'm not saying you're obsessed with him, but he's in your top 5, so you obviously really like him. So
He's just the reason why I like him so much, at least, is like growing up, like he was another one of those artists that like the Atlanta trap sound. Like he was one of the first artists
yeah,
that pioneered that, especially like
absolutely.
DS2. And also I was an athlete all the way through college.
Mhm.
So like Future was always like an artist that like me and my friends are listening to like at practice or like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Especially I really like Drake. So like What a Time to Be Alive is like one of my favorite albums ever.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
listen a lot of his stuff, just like working out and just his delivery. And like when he's on and some of the stuff. And I feel like, yes, people say he's like a mumble rapper, and I get it. You know, that's an antiquated term, like that's outdated.
Mhm.
But like when you listen sometimes to like what he's talking about, it's like, damn, like that's some real shit. So like top 5 songs like with that, like Married to the Game, like that's like one of my favorite songs,
Mhm,
just
mhm,
like ever. And that whole DJ Esco mixtape, definitely that. Thinking What a Time to Be Alive, a lot of those songs. Trying to remember what's the first song on that album. But like that one or like Live from the Gutter is a really good one.
mhm.
From DS2 songs like Stick Talk, Thought It Was a Drought.
Yeah.
Even some of the newer stuff that he's dropped, like even like his one he did with Metro, like a song like GTA is like
Yeah. Yeah.
really good to me, or like the song like that, or just that whole album in general. He just sometimes when he hits these pockets with like the right producer, it's like it's really good. But also I can see at the same time, because he does drop like a lot, why people are kind of like get burnt out by him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just like his sound and his voice is just something unique to me.
Mhm,
And without him, we wouldn't have like a lot of the artists that like a Thug or like Playboy Carti or like
mhm.
really a lot of that Atlanta trap wave and sound that we have now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like there, especially this last. I was talking to a guy. I think his name is Ty the Creator, and he was talking about the Playboi Carti album, and he was saying that like sometimes he like feels like Playboy sounds so much like Future that sometimes he thinks like
Oh
Future's on
yeah,
this
it sounds
track.
like a Future impression sometimes, and it's
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
it gets to a point now where it's like, and that was the thing with the song "All Red" when he dropped. And I think
mhm,
that kind of delayed him from dropping because it didn't get the reception he wanted, because
mm,
he sounded
sure,
so much like Future on
yeah,
that song.
yeah,
And I can't sometimes like I can't tell if this is actually Future
yeah,
or just
yeah,
or Cardi, but that's the thing. Like the
yeah,
influence is like
exactly.
there
Yeah, you can see it.
with that deep voice.
Yeah, yeah, you can totally see that influence there, and yeah, I think Future it's just such a weird thing for me because I know that he's like his influence on hip hop has been just like huge, and I know he's still like really active and like still putting out some good stuff. Obviously, like his collab with Metro was pretty huge, and like
But
he's
can I
doing his
throw an
own stuff.
asterisk there with that too?
Sure.
His R&B shit, I do not like that shit at all. That's the only
Okay.
asterisk with that.
Sure.
It's like he dropped the thing with Metro, but then he dropped We Still Don't Trust You, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
That and his Hendrix album, like I
Mm.
want Future talking to me about like whipping it up, doing whatever, hollering
Mhm.
at whoever, getting money. I don't need him singing me a love song or a love ballad. Like
Yeah, yeah.
keep that, like you're not Frank Ocean. Like keep that to
Yeah,
like
yeah, stay in your lane kinda thing. Yeah, I just think, like, yeah, he's got such influence, and he absolutely, if he wasn't around, hip hop, the soundscape of hip hop would be totally different. Um, so it is interesting though because like even though hip Future's still kind of having his moment a little bit, and Kendrick is definitely still having his moment, and Drake is still kind of relevant as well. It feels like there's a little bit of like passing of the old guard onto the new guard to some degree, because you look at Playboi Carti coming up into the forefront of hip hop. Travis Scott. Travis Scott's kind of like a bridge in between these two groups, and Tyler the
Yeah.
Creator would probably also fit into that. Like they're kind of a bridge in between. But my question to you would be like, who? We obviously know Playboy is huge right now, but who are some of this kind of new guard of like hip hop awesome? Denzel Curry might be somebody that you'd put on there, but like who's kind of this new guard of people coming up that are going to kind of take the reins from the Kendricks, the Futures, the et ceteras.
That's a great question. And also with that, I think something that's been interesting is like hip hop is getting older. Like a lot of these artists are staying around a lot longer.
Yeah,
And that's been a tough thing is like no one's been able to really like match the like we talk about the big three all the time, Kendrick Lamar, Cole, and
yeah,
uh Drake. It's
mhm,
like no one's been able to really match that type of like hype that they've had. But some of the
yeah,
artists that I really like that are coming up, I think JID is gonna be really good when he drops his next album.
mhm, yeah,
Denzel's another one. Definitely like Ken Carson is definitely there. So an artist that not a lot of people like who are like our age or like my age is like Yeet, but Yeet is like very
yeah.
like chart dominant. Like people
Yeah,
I like Yeet but people sleep on like how much like people like his
yeah.
music. Like
His
his
fandom
20
is pretty huge.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's headlining like Summer Smash and like 2093 was a really like creative
mhm.
album that not a lot of his some of his fans didn't like because it was so different from what he usually drops. Trying
Which
to
is
think
so
who
that's
else.
so funny. Yeah,
With Travis, Don's definitely moving forward in the right direction.
mhm,
Trying to think it's just so tough because these artists are just they're so just present and so dominant and that these people are in labels under them that there's kind of like a ceiling
sure.
right now to how big they can be because they're under that person. So it's like you
Yeah,
kind of got to wait and see in them
yeah.
to
What do you
branch
what
out on their own. Keem too, but Keem
Keem?
doesn't
Yeah,
like to drop. He's been in hiding
mm,
for however long. So
yeah,
that's the other thing too. Some of
yeah,
these artists drop an album
yeah.
and then they just dip.
They gotta kind of keep some momentum. What do you think of like JPEG Mafia, Danny
I
Brown?
love Peggy.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're kind of like riding, even though you wouldn't probably consider them to be underground anymore, but they're kind of like the kings of underground, if that makes sense. Like they kind of
Yeah.
rode through that, and now they've kind of got a little bit more of reputation in front of them.
And Peggy's really cool because he's independent and he does everything on his own. The term underground is so like weird now because it's
Yeah,
like
it is.
underground, but he has like a couple million listeners that he's
Yeah,
listening
yeah,
with
seriously.
like Kanye. Like the underground is kind of like a gray area
Yeah, yeah,
now because and also people can go so viral so quickly.
yeah,
So it's
totally.
like one moment nobody knows you,
Yeah.
and then the next moment you're like a superstar.
Mhm.
Definitely Peggy is someone who's really good. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, issue is a lot of these artists they just don't drop enough to be
Yeah.
like so present to
Mhm.
be a superstar. That's really the biggest barrier I feel.
What do you feel about like Tizo touchdown? I know that he had like kind of a moment riding his big feature on Utopia, and then he dropped his own album, and like there was quite a bit of hype around him for a while, and now he's just like you said, he's just kind of dropped into oblivion almost.
Yeah, I actually liked his album that he dropped. I've
I did
Run It
too.
Up
Yeah.
is one of my favorite Tyler songs as well, so I like his feature on that as well.
Yeah.
I think and his album was like that's one of those albums like, I just like fun music. Like it's
Yeah.
goofy,
It was really
it's
fun.
silly, like
Yeah.
yeah, and I know a lot of people like not hip hop, but like from other genres were mad about it because it's like
Mhm.
so out there and it's like
Really? Yeah. Mm.
genre bending and
Yeah,
people
it
are like,
was.
this is
Yeah.
not real like rock or like whatever
Yeah, it's true.
whatever
Yeah.
it is, or
Yeah.
like real alt or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So, but yeah, it's just like you got to just continue to like once you once you got something, you just got to keep going. That's really like with anything. Like
Yeah.
even with this, is like you got to just be
Yeah.
consistent with it. The
It's
more
true.
consistent you are, the more like you gotta work at it. Like there's no overnight success. Like you have to
Mhm.
work at it regardless
Yeah.
of what you do. But I can definitely see why some of the artists with like how critical some people are, and this is the other thing I want to say about saying something you don't like. Then there's people who are like just trolling and also just like
Yeah.
being mean, and like
Yeah.
that's their whole personality
Mhm.
is not liking something.
Yeah.
Where I can see where some of these artists get tapped out, and they're like, yeah, like
Mhm.
this is a lot all at once.
Yeah, well, yeah, and some people recognize that, like, that's what gets views is the negative take. Like, positive takes don't often do that, the negative takes
Yeah.
do, so you can very easily get yourself in as maybe a, commentator or something, you can get yourself into a rut where you feel like you have to be negative about everything because that's the only thing that people pay attention to. And then yeah, it starts getting hurtful when it's actually not constructive anymore. It's just like you got to have something negative to say about something.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And it's just I don't yeah, it's like it's tough. I mean, that's why I'm like I can under kind of empathize a little bit. Like we talk about like Fantano before, like when these people are doing too much, I'm like,
Mm,
motherfuckers are crazy. Like this is like we're doing the most for like what? But also going back to like artists, like the parasocial element,
mm.
like there's been a lot lost, especially with like 2020 and all that stuff, with like how we treat artists
Yeah, it's
and
true.
like how
Yeah.
we communicate with them.
Mhm.
A lot of it has like, and with these kids with like their social skills, like they don't like these artists aren't like here for like your entertainment only. Like they're
Mhm.
people as well. They're not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
things. Like they're
Yeah.
not like toys. Like you gotta like
Yeah. Yeah.
they got
Definitely.
feelings and all
Mhm.
this other stuff. You can't just
Yeah.
say whatever to them.
Well, and like we're getting to the point where like artists are starting to resent their fans, and it's like it's
I mean,
sad.
look at like Chaperone, right? Like
Yeah.
she's just like
Seriously. Yeah.
get because some of these people take it way too far. Like she's not here just for you. Like she's a person. Like
Mm.
same thing with like I even see with like Frank Ocean. It's like he's still a person. Like I understand
Yeah.
you want new music, but like
Yeah.
yeah, you're just gonna have to just like wait.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it can get pretty intense, and yeah, it's tough. It can be really tough for artists to kind of navigate through their fan, especially if their fans become like kind of cult like, kind of like these cult followings, which you see like it's hard for artists to navigate through that. And then it's like it's hard for fans to navigate through like
Yeah.
artists being volatile because like sometimes that's just what you get. Sometimes the person you really like their music from is you like their music because they are, like, really, like, volatile, like, that's what their whole
Yeah.
music is on, and so, like, you kinda have to take that how it is, so I don't know, it's an interesting I do agree with you that I think things really shifted after 2020 just with how, the relationship with fans and their artists and everything has just kinda shifted really drastically, and it's just kind of a weird frontier we're in now where, yeah, like you said, one of the biggest pop stars out there can, like, basically resent her fan base.
Yeah, 1,000%. And it's also like with her, like I'm thinking of her past year, like she went from like her album that she dropped, like people like having a cult like fan base to like you think of like the Lollapalooza or like near
Yeah.
me, like Boston Calling, like
Mhm.
100,000 people
Yeah.
like within a year,
Yeah.
within a couple months, like
Yeah.
wanting to listen to her, and
Yeah.
everyone like being on top of you all the time, wanting something from you, wanting to talk to you, wanting this, wanting new music from you. It's like it's jarring. It really is. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it happened so fast for her, like, she had her tour already planned, like, when the whole Lollapalooza thing just, like, popped her off, like, and she was, making a stop here in outside of Nashville at a smaller venue, outdoor venue, it's, like, maybe, like, 3,500 seats or something, and I was trying to get a ticket for it, and it was just impossible, and, like, resale was, like, crazy, they were, like, 1,500 bucks for tickets and stuff, it was insane, and then, like, one of the local news stations posted an article that there were 150,000 people trying to buy tickets for her show here,
Yeah.
that which
That's what it
is
was like when I tried to get Steve Lacy tickets
yeah.
when he was really hot in like
Yeah,
2022 in these small venues, like
yeah,
forget it. Even trying to get when Tyler was doing like the pop up like Chromacopia,
mm,
because he did
yeah,
one in Boston at the Converse.
yeah,
It was like forget about it. Like
yeah,
there was no way I was getting that. I tried, but
it's craziness. It's just insanity. Yeah. Um, well, anyway, I think we've been going for a little while here, so we're gonna pop off. I've really appreciated all of this. It's been really good conversation. It's been a lot of fun having you on, and I appreciate you taking the time. So if anybody wants to follow, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, YouTube. Is it like the same handle everywhere, or is it different?
Yep, just the official Tyson Jones or something
Nice.
close enough to that.
It's close enough. You'll find it. So go give him a follow. Check him out. You're on Sirius Radio. That's pretty awesome. Doing a lot of cool stuff. You've always got your kind of finger on the pulse with pretty much anything hip hop related, or at least most of the bigger stuff. I know. I'm sure it can feel like endless, all the news, but
Yeah, I try my hardest
you do a great
on a
job.
daily basis.
Yeah,
I
I'm always
appreciate
like,
you.
whenever I'm on your page, I'm always like, man, like you do such a good job keeping up with it all. So
It
yeah,
does get me in trouble sometimes because people get mad at me. They're like, "Yo, you lied about Cardi dropping." I'm like, "Yo, I can only do so much."
yeah,
Like that's
exactly.
why at one point with Cardi, I was like, "Please just drop," because
Yeah,
people are getting mad at me for
yeah,
something I
totally.
didn't even do.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just following leads, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like
He said he was gonna drop and he didn't drop. There's nothing I can do there.
I'm not his agent. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's so crazy. Yeah. Well, anyway, I appreciated it, and yeah, it was a lot of fun having you on. And go follow him, subscribe, do whatever. Yeah.
Go follow B-Sides too. Come on, you follow him on everywhere. Stop playing. That's what you need to go do first.
I appreciate it. Awesome.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
we'll see you guys next week. We'll have a new episode and a new guest on. So, thanks for joining.